Hey guys, welcome back to the Prehistoric Life podcast. I'm your host, Eric Crawford, and today we have another guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Emily Keeble. I'm a vertebrate paleontologist from the UK, and I recently got my PhD in paleontology from Virginia Tech.
There is her Instagram if you want to go support her. A lot of
Yeah.
cool dinosaur content if you want to go check that out. So please go support everybody that appears on this podcast. So the basic question that I start off every interview with is, what is your favorite dinosaur?
If you saw the Instagram there, maybe a hint in my username, DeinonychusFloof. I do enjoy a good Deinonychus.
Deinonychus is a very beautiful dinosaur. So what got you started in the field of paleontology? Why did you choose to go down that path?
It's something that I've always been interested in since I was really, really little. About 4 or something, I decided I was going to be a paleontologist, and I had a little bit of wiggling about in what I wanted to do in between that and being 17 and having to decide what I wanted to do at university. And ultimately, I decided I was right the first time, and went to university for paleontology. I went to the University of Bristol to do integrated masters. So I don't actually have a bachelor's, I just have a master's. But I think I was just really into paleontology from lots of books as a kid that my parents bought me, toys, all sorts of things that just got me in love with dinosaurs and the prehistoric world.
The bachelor's without a master's, not a common thing.
No, it's a weird degree that I have a master's, not a bachelor's.
It's so how does that affect applying for work in any way? Is it awkward that way?
It is actually a little bit difficult sometimes. When I was applying for PhD programs, they all wanted me to fill in a bachelor's, and I was like, I can't do that because I've done the whole 4 years for my bachelor's and my master's. I just don't have the bit of paper that says I have a bachelor's, so I just had to fill in my master's twice and hope that they sort of got that.
I guess I really wouldn't know the workaround to that. It's such an odd thing.
Yeah.
So what do you study and focus on? What is your focus in?
I really enjoy Triassic archosaurs, and my PhD project was on looking at variation in the teeth of predominantly Triassic archosaurs. So seeing what difference is going there on morphology and using 3D geometric morphometrics to really get deep into that morphology and shape in a way that 2D geometric morphometrics, so the study of shape using points on a specimen, in this case a tooth, to compare shape. So 2D will do individual points on a surface, so you can do one on the tip of the tooth, one on this side of the tooth, one on that side of the tooth, but it's only on this one plane. Whereas 3D geometric morphometrics does much the same thing. You can put these points on either side of the tooth, but you can go the whole way around the tooth, and it gets you a much better sense of shape. So you can compare it a lot more intensely that way.
As in the Triassic is one of those. It's kind of that one time period. You get the dinosaurs that start and everything before them kind of coming to an end. That's a very interesting time period. So what first drew your interest to the Triassic period and the incredible diversity of archosaurs found during that time?
I think probably when I was doing my master's, my actual master's year at Bristol, there was an opportunity to work on a project looking at the Late Triassic fissure fills of the southwest of England and south of Wales in the UK. And this just got me really interested, seeing all these different animals that we're finding. So I did a faunal composition of the site and described a new rhynchocephalian, a new sphenodontian from there. I mean, new at the time. It's been a while since then. But yeah, that sort of got me interested in the Triassic, first of all, and going to the collections in London to look at all the material from this place and this time made me really, really interested and wanted to learn a lot more about the Triassic. And since then, my whole career and study has just been focused on it. So it's just grown on me more and more.
How do you feel the Triassic experimental phase of evolution compares to the more famous dinosaur eras that followed?
Oh, it's much better. It's much better. There's just so many weird things in the Triassic. It's great. You've got all things from like long-necked tanystrophiids with the most ridiculous spindly little necks and tiny bodies, and you've got amphibians with toilet seat heads, and you've got all manner of crocodile ancestor, and then you've also got things like the earliest dinosaurs are just appearing alongside all these weirdos. So it's a really, really interesting time that we're seeing all these strange things appearing.
What are the biggest challenges in reconstructing the appearance and movement of Triassic archosaurs compared to like later theropods?
I guess that one, I'd say that one thing is there's a bit less material to go off. Generally, I mean, generally as you go further back in time, there's less material to work with. But I think it's also the fact that people haven't looked as much at the Triassic, which is puts a spanner in reconstructing things. But there is work being done at the moment. I've been involved with some of it, looking at the Dawn Dinos project, with John Hutchinson leading that. This project looking at the locomotor superiority hypothesis, which is all about whether dinosaurs had an advantage over pseudotsuchians, so those crocodile-line archosaurs, in terms of the way that they were moving. So there is work being done on it, looking at biomechanics and getting really into the nitty-gritty of how those muscles were working. So that's going to be very cool when all that comes to light and comparison comes to light. But there are some really great reconstructions. So Peter Bishop's papers looking at Coelophysis have fantastic movement reconstructions of a Triassic critter. So yeah, there's difficulty in like the material that's there, and the people are just less interested in a lot of Triassic animals for some reason. I don't know why, because they're the best.
They're not the large ones. They're not the famous.
They're
ones.
not the big ones. They're not the famous ones. Yeah, that's it.
It's just the lack of that. And also, I feel like in terms of like Triassic sites, I really don't know how many there are.
I mean, there's quite a few about. Southwest America is probably the one I'm now most familiar with, the Chinle Formation and the Dockham Group. That's the one I'm probably most familiar with. But there's sites all over the place. I've got material in my stuff from Brazil and Argentina and Scotland and South Africa. There's quite a lot of places around the world that have Triassic exposures.
Accessibility to get there and actually do stuff is when you start having the problems.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously it's a major issue. How do you work around that if you can, if you do?
So I've not been involved in collecting material for the biomechanical analysis. I was sort of just given that material, but it's a case of reaching out to colleagues and seeing what they've got. If you can, visiting the material in person and going to museums and at universities which hold this this material. It's very similar to things I've done for my PhD, because I needed a lot of different things from all over the place, as I just said. But yeah, it's great when you can work digitally as well, because that means that you can just get someone to send you some scans, which is really, really helpful for a lot of different things. But certainly in biomechanics, the way that we're sort of working with biomechanics now, doing all these actual experiments using the material, the scans are essential. But yeah, that's how we get our material. Friendship, the power of friendship.
Quite literally the power of friendship. In your opinion, what is the most significant physiological advantage that allowed archosaurs to dominate the Triassic landscape?
I guess it would have to be their erect posture, really. It's less sort of energetically wasteful and sprawling. So they're more able to move more quickly. They're more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not gracile, but the word gracile is coming into my head. They basically have longer limbs that are more adapted to running.
Flexible. I mean,
no, The word is just completely gone. It's not going to be in my head. I'm sorry. I know it, and I'm going to kick myself later. It's not there. I can feel it's not there.
It'll be like tomorrow afternoon. You're like, that's the word.
Oh no, I'll be much more annoyed than that.
If you could clarify one common misconception about the Theocontodonts, I'm probably horribly mispronouncing that.
About like Thecodontosaurus, do you mean?
I'll just pull this up. That word. I love Latin.
Thecodontia. Oh,
yes.
Sorry, I wasn't sure. Yeah, Thecodontia. That is a really, really old group that we don't really use anymore. But Thecodonts were sort of generally. We had dinosaurs, and then there was sort of just everything else that's an archosaur and doesn't quite fit within Dinosauria. This is my understanding of Thecodontia because it's not something that's been used in a while. But you see it a lot in old papers. And I'm saying old papers, things like in the 80s. I'm pretty sure it was still in use then, and maybe even the 90s. So not ancient papers. But yeah, Thecodonts. The term itself just means socket tooth. So humans are Thecodonts. We're not within Thecodontia, which is an old group, but we have the feature. We are Thecodonts. Our teeth are found in sockets. Dinosaurs are Thecodonts. All archosaurs are Thecodonts. This is different to things like acrodont, like Tuatara, Sphenodontians. They have sort of their teeth on are sort of fused to the bone. And you can get lizards that have their sort of teeth just on a sort of ledge on the bone. They're not in a socket. They're just sort of on the side there. They're different from Thecodonts.
So it's just kind of a null term now within.
Yeah. So I guess that's the biggest misconception, that it is still a group.
How does your work bridge the gap between wow, I just realized I can't read. Technical paleontological data and engaging visual storytelling for the Jurassic period?
Oh, that is an interesting question. I'm not sure. I guess I do. My work is quite technical, dealing with a lot of data, and then I also have this sort of side where I'm more involved in outreach, like my Instagram, for example, trying to translate these different concepts from the technical work that I'm doing or that others are doing, and sort of making that a bit more easy to understand with a pretty picture every now and then. Yeah, I think it's just bridging that gap between the two different things. I'm sorry, what was the question?
How does your work bridge the gap between technological paleontological data and engaging visual storytelling for the Triassic period?
I misheard you. I heard Jurassic and I got very confused.
I said Jurassic and I'm just subconsciously saying it at this point.
I'm sure it was me. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much what I said. Taking this data and synthesizing results from that, getting my results, and then trying to make it understandable for an audience of a sort of more general level. Obviously, I also want to make it understandable for my peers, and I'll do that more at conferences or in papers, like technical papers. But it's always good to be able to simplify the language.
For the
yeah, well, be able to simplify that language and explain these concepts that people are generally not very familiar with at all. Like, we use a lot of weird terms in paleontology that you just don't come across in the general public. Yeah, and being able to explain those, and often a lot of my work is pretty visual, so it lends itself to a nice image or even video, so that's convenient as well.
And I mean, of course, us humans love to name things very complicatedly. We just love to use Latin and Greek names, and it's like, I don't speak those languages. Okay. So
yeah, it's good when you sort of start picking up on the different bases of words. Like you can pick up words in this Latin and Greek from the animals that you know, and then it opens up this whole world of understanding different things, like a lot of phobias. I can figure out a lot of phobias just because I know the Latin or Greek roots. And they use those.
And I mean, building on the just making it more accessible to like everyone. I personally, I guess I'm an advocate for that. I'm just making scientific papers readable for general people. I feel like that's just a big thing to start off with, but then also actually be able to be accessed by like just anybody.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I think the access of science is a really big issue. To be honest, I would ideally like all science to be open access so anyone can read it. Unfortunately, journals do tend to put very high fees on open access publishing, which is preventing a lot of scientists who cannot afford those fees from making their work open access. I mean, it depends very much on the journal. Some journals are really great about this, and some are terrible, not naming any nature names. Yeah, it's all down to the journal.
It's just, and then even then, like even sometimes it'll like be behind a paywall, and you're just like, well, it'll be like $5, but it's just like I'm not gonna pay $5.
Don't give them your money. No. No, what you should do is if you can't get it open access, go to ResearchGate. So just type in the paper title into Google. If a ResearchGate thing comes up, then it's either open access there, someone's put it up for you, you can request the full text, or if you're feeling very brave, you can email the corresponding author of the paper and they will most likely send you a copy of the paper. Yes. I do this all the time. So yeah, it's great. You can get it without paying.
That is a huge thing. So ResearchGate is a very good tool. Or just I always say this on this podcast. Literally, just reach out to people. You have no idea who will respond. One message could lead to God knows what. You could be on a paper one day. Who knows? Yeah, it's amazing. But it is. I think accessibility is one of the hugest hindrance to just science in general.
Yeah, I would agree.
And have you had any problems within regards to your papers and accessibility? Like
so my first 2 papers are not open access, but I have a thing on my website that says just message me, I will send you them. I think at least one of them might be available now if you were to just Google the title of it. I'm pretty sure one of them is available. Mike Benton is the corresponding author, so I'm not actually the corresponding author on those ones. But the latest one that I was on with Agostina Lecuona, she was in charge of that. That one's open access, so I'm happy about that.
That's very good. That's a good thing. Now, transferring back to dinosaurs, or well, archosaurs, how do you approach the puzzling nature of Triassic fossils when many specimens seem to be bizarre one-off evolutionary experiments?
I guess they seem that way if you're not looking closely at the bones, but then you always go back to the bones and there's always similarities. There's very, very rarely any element in a skeleton that is completely novel and has we have no understanding of where it's come from. There's a couple in a couple of different organisms, but I don't think there are even weird Triassic ones. But the vast majority of the time, everything is homologous with something. So we can always use that comparison to look at these weird animals and figure out where they've come from, what these features have evolved from. For example, the weird tail claw on the end of Trypanosaur's tail. So if people are unfamiliar with Trypanosaurs, they are proper weirdos of the Triassic. They look pretty lizardy with almost a sort of bird-like face and a huge hump on the shoulders and arms that are just very weird, and they're even weirder if you look at the bones. And they've got huge claws on their hands, oftentimes just one big huge claw. These guys, yeah. And then at the end of a prehensile tail, they have this tail claw. And some work by my colleagues was done recently looking at the origin of this tail claw. And even though it seems like this weird, completely novel structure, it's vertebrae that have just fused together into this shape at the end of the tail. So this structure comes from a completely normal place. Yeah, that's
Very weird.
them. I mean, just look at the arm. Look at where the.
It's got like an extra part to it. It's got like a weird second.
They lengthen out the wrist bones to become essentially like the radius and ulna in our arm, and then I don't even understand it fully myself. I haven't spent long enough looking at this. You've got to be
I am
really into trypanosaurs to get trypanosaurs.
Sure, whenever somebody dug this up, they were just like, I'm gonna let somebody else just figure out what is going on here. I am lost.
If we found the features of trypanosaurs individually, I'm pretty sure they would all have been named as different animals because they're just so strange. But we have complete ones that have all of these features all together, so we know it's one animal.
Because I could see, even like, considering this like front arm is not a natural. I say not a natural, but like not a common arm structure. Seeing this, I could see how you'd think this like top part's like a shoulder, and then this is the actual arm, and then you have like some other animal that died under it. So I could see a lot of in this head. Are we gonna have like another like a potosaur thing with this? Like, that does not look like it goes on there.
No, there are full skeletons of trypanosaurs all together. So we know that it does go. Not all of them have it, but there are full fossils. Like that's one there in the center there. Yeah.
That is. It just looks like a mess down here. I know this thing was probably aggravating to excavate.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. You're like, I don't know what I'm looking at, and I'm just going to start digging and hope I don't break it.
Yeah. They're peculiar animals, to say the least.
It's not the focus of the episode, but this thing's going in the thumbnail. People are going to see this thing more than they need.
Excellent. Any way to spread the good word of the trypanosaur.
So we kind of touched on how the Jurassic and Cretaceous are more kind of popularized and well known than the Triassic. How, in like your opinion, could we like kind of, I don't want to say change the narrative because it's not as undeserved fame or something, but like kind of get the Triassic up there with them?
It's difficult because people love dinosaurs, and as they should, but there just aren't as many dinosaurs in the Triassic. For a long time, the Triassic was ruled by pseudosaucians, or like ruled by pseudosaucians, as opposed to dinosaurs. And dinosaurs were a much more minor component of ecosystems until we get to like the very, very end, and then the Jurassic after that. So I think leaning into the weirdness is one way we can get people interested, because as we've been saying the whole episode, there is a lot of weirdness in the Triassic throughout the whole of it. I'm focused on the late Triassic, but there's weird things in the middle Triassic for sure. And yeah. Really, and then it's little Lystrosaurus on that.
That is true. And then on top of that, it really seems that just the middle of just every phase is kind of just, I don't want to say ignored, but kind of swept under the rug. And we're just like, yeah, don't look too deeply on that part.
I'm pretty sure in saying this that there's not a lot of middle Triassic out there to find, which is one of the reasons why it's a little bit underexplored. It's a lot less than the late Triassic for sure. It's
like you could write a whole paper on what's going on. The only problem is you also don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So how has like recent research in acrosaur respiratory systems in four-chambered hearts changed how you visualize their daily lives?
Whoa, that's I don't know if that's quite in my field, but yeah, I can talk a little on it. So yeah, archosaurs, they do have generally a lot of them have four-chambered hearts. Or they do have four-chambered hearts, sorry, like mammals do. And this is a pretty great way of getting the blood going. So I think it's just helping them get a leg up on things like that don't have this system. I don't know very much about this, I have to say, but dinosaurs then go in with a bunch of air sacs in their lungs as well, which helps the efficiency and unidirectional flow be even more efficient in their lungs, which is really helpful when you're trying to get a lot of oxygen in. It makes you more lively, essentially. You can get more oxygen, you can go for longer, have higher endurance. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I can't say I know a great deal about this, though. I'm very much more on the bones side of things.
The bones, yep. I imagine soft tissue from literally anything from Triassic is like a 1 in a trillion thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There is not a lot out there at all, if anything. Soft tissue, really, it's extremely rare. I mean, it's extremely rare anyway, but I can't think of much in the Triassic at all.
Marine reptiles, particularly.
Yeah, I would assume if it's there, it's probably marine reptiles, like ichthyosaurs, maybe.
From Poland? Really? Huh.
Yeah, there's some great Triassic stuff in Poland.
I don't know why that surprises me. That makes a lot of sense. Poland is in like the middle of the continent, so it kind of hasn't shifted a lot. So, I mean, but yeah, I think it's like very few marine reptiles, maybe kind of from Poland. So yeah, 1 in a trillion. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's not like the Cretaceous. We don't have mummies or anything.
No mummified, nothing.
No. Not to my knowledge, at least. Someone might have one somewhere out there, but I don't know about it.
This is where like one comment's like, "Oh yeah, check this thing out," and it's just posted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're hiding that. We need that. Can we have that? Which Triassic acrosaur discovery from the last decade do you think has the most significantly shifted our understanding of early reptile physiology?
I'm not sure. My head is just going to Mirasaura, which is one that was discovered last year, and it's not so much physiology, but it is. We do have integument. Yeah, we do have some soft tissue integument because it's got this weird sort of spine on its back, and that's not an archosaur. I'm so sorry, it's not an archosaur. It's just so exciting that I wanted to talk about it.
I don't. Hey, it changed something because hey, we have another sailed animal again.
And it's going back to trypanosaurs because it was found that this group is closely is either trypanosaurs or very, very close to them. It's things like Longisquama, which is again another weird reptile that had sort of fronds to the point where people like, there it is, Longisquama. It's one with the fronds on it. Yeah, that guy. To the point where people are like, has this thing died on a palm tree or something? And it's just a plant that's behind it. But Mirasaura changed all that. We can now see that it's some sort of novel integumentary structure. Yeah, that's the fossil there.
I can see how somebody would look at that at first and be like, I think that's a wing.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't seem like it's feathers at all.
No.
It's very strange. Strange integument. Like, I'm not wanting to put any label on it at all. Just integument.
It's a odd attachment indeed. And why they would even have that would be, I mean, it's like here's this thing. It's like, what do you dig that? You're like, what do I do with this? What is this thing? I guess it's another just sailed critter hitting the just like it's just the next one. It's the like Dimetrodon, you got Spinosaurus, and you got this thing. Another give it another decade, they'll be discussing what the sail does.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we're already sort of looking at what it might be. Yeah, it's a particular creature, but archosaurs, actual archosaurs, in physiology. I'm not sure. I think it might not be a single discovery, but I think research that's being done on lots of different animals now, across a greater range of archosaurs, looking at like how they move, and that we're getting a lot better understanding of the musculature of these animals, how they are moving and running, and how efficient that all is compared to each other. I think it's this sort of research rather than a single discovery that's telling us a lot more about the physiology of these animals.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to label one and be like, it's this one.
Yeah, it would be nice if it worked like that all the
Especially
time. Like it does occasionally, but
especially with, like, I would say Triassic, because like Cretaceous, you have all the like mummified ones. You're like, yeah, these have changed a lot of understanding. Even with Jurassic, there was recently the like sauropod skin that was discovered. Like,
yeah,
you pointed that and you're like, this is like, for the lack of better terms, like the smoking gun fossil that you're just like, this is just boom, like you just hit the ground running with what it was.
yeah.
With the Triassic, it's kind of just a bit of everything compiled.
I'm wondering maybe if Euparkeria and the work that's being done on that would be a very interesting one to watch for looking at physiology. It's outside of Arcosauria proper, but it's a very close sister taxon to the group. So it's telling us a lot about what the earliest archosaurs would have looked like. We use it as a proxy for the earliest archosaur, or as a sister group to archosaurs in a lot of different analyses. So looking at what's going on with Euparkeria, I would say is going to tell us a lot about basal archosaurs. If I had to pick like one critter that's being worked on over the last decade and is still being worked on.
And I mean, even within that, the shift into archosaur from like previous groups is even just like a major one in and of itself, which kind of really started in the Triassic, kind of.
I've remembered my word. It's cursorial.
There you go. When it's on camera.
Yeah. Yeah, cursorial. It means better running ability. Okay, sorry, continue.
No, that's fine. But you get the like early archosaurs that kind of appear like traditional, not traditionally, but like affirmatively in the Triassic. And that's, so the Triassic is like a huge time, because of course you have like some archosaurs before, most likely. A little iffy, maybe. It depends on who you ask, but like,
yeah, we don't have them currently. If they are there,
there's no debate that like the Triassic is like, yes, these are the archosaurs.
Yeah,
and then even from that, the shift from archosaurs to dinosaurs is in the Triassic. So it's,
I mean, of course, we have to remember it's not a shift from archosaurs to dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are still archosaurs. They're within Arcosauria. It's like birds are also dinosaurs. They're within Dinosauria. It's all just little nesting dolls all the way down.
The other archosaurs, then dinosaurs, then birds. It's all related. Birds are lizards.
Well, that one they're not. Lizards are completely different. You've got your tree, you've got reptiles, you've got archosaurs on one branch, you've got lepidosaurs on another branch. So if there's one thing that birds are not, it's lizards.
They're not lizards, but they're related to lizards.
Yeah.
Somehow. They're related if you go far back enough. Nothing is real. It's all one animal. We're all just phylogenetic tree. That's the overarching term.
Yeah.
What are the like specific challenges to illustrating the transition from spalling to erect giants in Triassic species for your audience?
I think there are some really great diagrams out there that already explain this. I'm sure you've seen the one that's sort of sprawler to semi-erect to erect posture, that really shows that off nicely. But it's not quite a clean transition. The last paper that I was on looking at Gracillosuchus was it. Yeah. Oh, that's exactly the diagram that I'm thinking of. Yes.
Hey, also, so shout out to them again.
But yeah, Gracillosuchus, we found that it's not sprawling, but it's not erect either, but it's a bit simplistic to call it semi-erect. It's a very confusing sort of gradient at this point in the Triassic, that between these different grades of standing. So I guess that's the tricky bit in explaining it, that people want it to be nice, clear boxes, but it isn't really, certainly in this case.
Because it's also, I mean, it's like that with just identifying a species in general, because you get like one specimen, you're like, all right, this is this. You're never going to get a specimen that looks the exact same.
No.
So, like, any slight alteration is like, okay, well, these species could have lived for 8 million years, but in that 8 million years, if it changes slightly because of whatever other shifts are going on, it could technically be something new, or it's just showing that it's evolving into something else. You have all the in between it's never clean.
Yeah, and then it's also difficult to say whether this is the exact thing and this is definitely the gradient leading to this thing. It's very controversial to say that to a lot of people, that to say it for sure, at least. It's like it definitely could be, but it's difficult to be certain because the fossil record is so poor.
It's like paleontology, the one science where you're just like, I don't know, man. I'm guessing just as far as you are most of the time. Like,
I don't know. Those physicists are guessing about a lot of stuff, I think.
I think some of these other scientists are just making stuff up. Some of these other scientists, here's this thing. It's like, what? And paleontology, I swear, sometimes I'll see something and I'm just like, that what? That can't be right? Like, okay, is anybody going to talk about this? No? Okay, we're just going to accept it. Got it. Like, I feel like paleontology is one of those few scientists where you're going to get everybody to say, I just don't know. It's just the answer 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, we like to joke about it, but usually we do have a pretty good idea and there's a reason why people are saying things. Sometimes it is just someone saying something and everyone else is going, are you sure about that? But there's a lot of research that goes behind these weird things that we find.
It's just like, it's basically like, okay, which fossils can you point to prove what you're saying? And then you got to wait for somebody else to be like, well, actually, no, it's this, and they have new fossils, and you're like, cool, let's incorporate that one too. Let's see where that goes.
Scientific method.
just pushing everything together to see what works.
Yeah, I mean, we have to change hypotheses as we gain new information and gain new data. That's just part of being a scientist.
I mean, because this is something that I'm looking at currently, is just Stegosaurus, but this is unrelated to that. Just in general, like how much they have from like dragging their tails to like it actually being completely upright more to like, so it's all of it has changed. And I often have the random thought like, okay, what if I just grabbed every modern paper and then went back to when paleontology like started and just dropped it on them? Where would we be now?
I feel like you'd have to give them a lot of computers as well to go along with those papers to really get the full sort of utility out of them. So I think this would be a rather more groundbreaking time travel trip than just dumping it on paleontology. But it would be very interesting to see how far we could be.
It's also weird because it's like, okay, well, they haven't discovered most of this stuff yet. So to them, I'm just making stuff up. It's like, yeah, here's this thing, and this is what we call it. It's like, what? We don't even have that yet. Like, and then I really don't feel like it would develop that much just because it would just be years catching up to what you would have already had.
Yeah, it would be helpful to know where everything is, though.
Hey, buddy, go, check like 3 miles that way. Just trust
Yeah.
me.
It's called a GPS. Just trust me, okay, bro?
You need to just trust me. And then even that's another thing. Like the placement of fossils in general is always just amazing to me because it's like unrelated to that hypothesis. I'm moving away from that. It's just it's amazing to like be able to be like, yes, this is where this thing died. It honestly like baffles me sometimes that we're able to like do that.
Yeah.
I forget that's literally our job. Like literally all the time. We're like, yeah, this is this thing. This is where it died. And I mean, I feel like it would be so amazing to be able to actually watch fossilization happen, even though you would not live long enough to see it happen.
No, I mean, there are some methods that we can sort of recreate the fossilization process much more quickly, but it's not the same. And you can't see it, really. It's done under like intense pressure and everything.
It's like, all right, it's buried. Okay, well, I'm going to stare at the ground for the next 10,000 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is weird to think like the ground that you're digging up of a dinosaur or anything is probably the ground that it was walking on.
Yeah. I always find it really incredible with footprints as well, that you can actually stand exactly where a dinosaur or any animal stood. Like, this is where they walked. I always find that absolutely incredible.
Do we have any Triassic trackways? Is that?
Yeah, there are some Triassic trackways. Quite a few, I think.
I didn't know if that was like a major thing that we say major, if that was even a thing that we had because of.
Yeah, they're quite important actually. Some of the trackways in I think it's in the Alps in Europe. There's a paper that really goes into the different track makers and looking at this time in the Triassic called the Carnial Pluvial episode, which basically it rained for 2 million years. And after that, we sort of start seeing the rise of dinosaurs really coming apparent, and sort of loss of pseudotsuchians. And we can see this in the footprints in these mountains in the Alps. Like we can see that there are more dinosaur footprints after the Carnial Pluvial episode than there were before, and there are fewer pseudotsuchians.
So could you actually go into a little more detail on that rise of dinosaurs and decline of pseudotsuchians?
Yeah, sure. It's still tricky to say exactly why it happened. There's been so many different things proposed for it. So we've talked about a couple of them. We talked about the locomotor superiority hypothesis, and also about breathing systems and circulatory systems. Maybe they were more efficient in that way, and that helped them. Maybe they were just outcompeted pseudotsuchians, which is kind of strange in a lot of ways, because pseudotsuchians are doing a lot of the same things that dinosaurs were doing, just slightly differently. But it really seems that the CPE was a bad time to be a pseudotsuchian, because we do see this decline afterwards. They're still there for sure. But in places they're starting to decline, and we're not 100% sure why, as is the case a lot of the time. But it seems that dinosaurs were able to maybe better adapt to this environment where it went very wet and then very dry again. That might have had something to do with it, that it was just easier to be a dinosaur at that time. But it's hard to say exactly why we don't have an age of crocs as opposed to an age of dinosaurs.
That's it. I mean, I guess we kind of got, it's kind of weird because they were really big before the dinosaurs. You get, the Triassic, that goes into the Jurassic, then the Cretaceous, then, KT extinction, boom, all the major dinosaurs are dead. You have some smaller ones, they go into birds and all that. But then you see like the rise of crocodilians again. You get like more terrestrial crocodiles and things like that, and even just fully aquatic crocodiles too.
Yeah.
That was like a major thing that happened too. So it's kind of weird how they're just like sandwiching the age of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, crocs are cool. I do enjoy crocs. But yeah, before the Triassic extinction, we've got a much wider range of all different kinds of pseudoseuchians, and then after we only have Crocodilomorpha. So this once really diverse group is just left this single branch, which then did diversify again afterwards, as you say, into lots of weird things.
And I mean, it's weird because usually I feel like the like average consensus is like, okay, once their like extinction event happens, they're just gone. But that's not even close to accurate. Like pseudoseuchians just existed the entire time. They were just changing and developing in a different ecosystem because of other niches of dinosaurs and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the niches that they were filling previously then got overtaken by dinosaurs a lot of the time. Like, for example, like archosaurs, that's a niche taken over by thyreophorans, and ankylosaurs in particular later on in the Mesozoic. Yeah, and theropods are doing things like what Poposaurus was doing in the Triassic, Ophidia and things like that.
Yeah, that it's not. Well, I guess the armor would kind of be convergent evolution because it's just
yeah,
just general armor like that. So, I mean, but like it's very interesting that it's just you can kind of. I don't want to say a 1-for-1 comparison, but you can kind of like find what if you're looking at niches, like the very broad niches, you can usually find a comparison with like what does what, which is very interesting because it kind of shows a consistency of like niches that need to be filled. So it's like, okay, if we were to erase this niche today, what would fill it? What would that look like? And just another interesting thing that you could focus on. You could literally become like a paleontological niche specialist. You're like, okay, I only look at things that ate this specific thing in this specific environment, and you could be working with a huge array of species.
Yeah.
Such an interesting. And I mean, speaking of like climate and things, how do you think the extreme climate of Pangaea shaped the unique, as you're talking about armored morphology seen in groups like the, is it Aedosaurs?
Yeah. I think it's probably less likely to be climate that is influencing that sort of increase in armor and more predation, probably. Though there is evidence that suggests that osteoderm, so the armor plates in the skin, scutes when they have keratin on them. These osteoderms do play a little bit of a role in thermoregulation in crocodiles, so they could be doing a similar thing with archosaurs back in the Triassic, potentially. But yeah, it's probably more likely to be a predation thing. Yeah, I mean, we've got these big spikes. Don't eat me, please, says Desmatasuchus there. I mean, Desmatasuchus is also pretty enormous, which is a bit of another way to ward off predators in the Triassic.
If you get that one's not is that the same? Yeah,
that's Desmatasuchus, yeah.
Yeah, that thing is. So
it's pretty big. It's not like crazy big or anything, but it's pretty big animal.
For its time, it was pretty. That thing was pretty big.
Yeah.
Considering that, I guess in the Triassic, nothing really got majorly over human height, if I'm not mistaken.
There are a few things. I mean, Plateosaurus is the obvious
Very
one.
Late Triassic.
Yeah, but there are other dinosaurs as well that got pretty big. There's some new research coming out about that as well. Or there has been some new recent research, I believe, that came out about that where we do have some large theropods by the looks of things.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. I mean, not like T-Rex sized theropods. We're not talking that big. Yeah. but sort of larger than. I mean, I was pretty surprised. So large for the time, certainly.
So when working with theropods, usually you measure from like, I'm pretty sure it's the hip down. How do you do that with like something like this? Do you also measure from the hip down, or is it another?
I don't think we really measure height of archosaurs too much. More length. They're quite a horizontal animal. Yeah, I don't know much about measuring from hip height. I guess that is useful for biomechanical analysis, figuring out leg length and stride width and things like that. But yeah, femur length is often used as a sort of or femur circumference is often used as a sort of way to figure out size in different animals.
It's a very odd looking specimen there, though, with that.
They're great. I love them.
Just like, I feel like the Triassic had a lot pre-dinosaurs. Not that dinosaurs are boring. Everybody watching this, you know, my entire channel is literally dedicated. But like, I feel like a lot of pre-dinosaur stuff was just kind of like a handful of darts, throwing them all at the dartboard and just seeing what gets stuck in there.
Yeah, it's just as exciting as dinosaurs. There's just so many different cool things that aren't dinosaurs back in the Triassic that we see on land, in the water, and then we get like the first pterosaurs and things in the Triassic as well.
Especially like it all starts in the Triassic. All of it. Nothing is before then.
Well,
nothing important.
Yeah, nothing important.
Hey, what? Like, but it's just, I do feel like the Triassic is definitely, it's kind of weird. The way they're memorized is kind of their ranking. You got like Cretaceous, Jurassic, Triassic. Just very interesting.
Maybe to you.
To the general populace.
Yeah, to the general. Yeah, no, I agree.
For me, it's Jurassic all the way. I love the Jurassic. So like, what is your like dream find for Triassic paleontology? Like a specific fossil or piece of evidence that would solve a major mystery for you?
I guess, yeah, soft tissue would be really nice on some of these early dinosaurs and other archosaurs, early archosaurs, to figure out where the basis of feathers is, basically. That would be a really cool fossil, I think, if we get some really, really old feathers, and then we could put to rest whether Avemetatarsalia is feathered basally at the base of the clade, or whether it's just in dinosaurs and it's only just this one branch of dinosaurs. But we could put that to rest by finding some nice feathers in the Triassic.
The biggest find, I don't know, something alive would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool as well.
Hey, wait a minute. I guess it wouldn't be from the Triassic then, would it?
No.
Oh, dang it. But yes, I feel like soft tissue would just answer so many questions. Yet those are always just like, you find those papers always just go, because it's it's exciting stuff. You kind of immediately figure out what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Get, for lack of better words, with the bones, you're at like 50% of the picture. With soft tissue, you're at like 80 to 90. Easily.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on how much you get, obviously. But yeah.
So how do you address the common misconception that the Triassic was just a like prelude to the age of dinosaurs rather than a peak of biodiversity in its own right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people do sort of see it that way. But I mean, every period of time is its own period of time. It's got unique animals in all different ecosystems. There's evolution happening, transitions happening all the time. I would say it's quite a fluid chunk of time that we are seeing a lot of change during the Triassic, but that makes it really interesting in its own right as a time compared to maybe later things that people are more familiar with. But yeah, we have all these really interesting animals that are often overlooked in favor of later dinosaurs. But they are all animals. They're all doing their own thing, living in their own world at this time. And yeah, I think just sort of seeing them as animals in their own right, as opposed to just a stepping stone to get somewhere else, is I mean, that's kind of what the question was, but it's how we need to see things, really.
So recent research into acrosaur bone histology suggests very wow, what am I trying to say here? Varied growth rates. How does this internal science change how you portray these animals externally?
Yeah, so I don't think I'm caught up very well on the new histology research, but I know that it does look like within Arcosauria we do have very varying growth rates between different animals. And I suppose it would change your reconstructions in the ages of what animals you're producing. So if you're looking at a very young animal, it's going to look different at different stages compared to this animal. So maybe this one grew really, really, really slowly. So it's still looking small at the same time as this animal who grew much quickly is looking like a subadult or something like that. It's kind of more in comparison, I would say, than changing anything individually uh, uh, about how we reconstruct them. It's just over that timeline that's either shortened, compressed, or lengthened out.
And I mean, I guess it would also just completely depend on the species altogether. Because
Yeah.
if you have an animal this big at its like max size, it's not going to take that long to get that big.
Yeah.
Versus like a tyrannosaur. But then on the other hand of that, you have like sauropods where they grow fast and they grow quick. Well, that means the same thing. They grow fast and they grow a lot at
Yeah.
like once. They just hit like a growth spurt and just keep going forever. So I mean, and I guess I don't know if it's the same with like ancient crocodilians, but modern crocodilians kind of just never stop growing.
Yeah.
So is that kind of the same with ancient crocodilians?
I believe so. It's a very negligible amount of growth, though. It's a very, very small amount of growth. But I think we do believe that. I think I should know more about phytosaur histology. They're not well. They could be archosaurs. They could be pseudoseuchians. We're not entirely sure. But one of my lab mates is very good at phytosaur histology, looking at growth rates in phytosaurs. But yeah, we do get some absolutely massive ones, and there's very few young or small ones known. And the thing is that size doesn't necessarily reflect maturity as well. So some really large animals might be
Really
more immature than ones that are a bit smaller. But that's something that histology can tell us.
The antorbital fenestra, for those of you who don't know what it is, that's the hole in front of the eye, is a hallmark for acrosaurs. Given its uncertain function, how do you personally interpret this role? Like heat regulation, weight reduction, or just something else? What is your take on that, I guess?
I don't know that I've ever thought about it, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, it could be any number of those things. Yeah, allowing skulls to get bigger by reducing weight, heat exchange, more muscle attachment area. It's Yeah, I honestly haven't thought about it, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Our reconstruction of these animals is actually all wrong. They do have 3 eyes. The third eye
Yeah.
is literal, no metaphor. That would actually be really creepy, and I would find it really funny if later on down the road one of these archosaurs, they discover it, like it actually is third eyed, and they're like, huh, this is gonna flip everything on its head, isn't it?
Well, we do have lepidosaurs that do have the pineal eye in the head. So
No, it's starting.
yeah, it's not so much as an actual eye, it more detects light. So the idea would be like if a bird or something is coming over to swoop you, you can detect light and scuttle away. I think that's the sort of idea that people think is probably the reason for it. But yeah, not so much in archosaurs. I believe there was some weird, was it Cambrian critter published that had 4 eyes? It was like published like last week or something. I'm not exactly sure. I saw like the press release but didn't read any further. But there was something about that. So that's pretty interesting.
Is it like is this am I looking at the right thing? I don't think I'm looking at the right thing. This one looks like an AI generated image.
No, that's the guy. I mean, that's Opabinia there, but the one next to it.
Yeah. Is this guy?
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. Oop. That. What are we doing here? Wait, is that? Okay, I guess it is this thing.
Yeah.
What am I going on? It's a vertebrate too. One of the earliest vertebrate ancestors may have had 4 eyes. That is creepy. And it's got like, it looks like there's a little mouth here too.
Just a little guy.
It looks like an eel. Maybe this is the next step for eel evolution. They grow another pair of eyes for some reason.
I mean, they already have like another pair of jaws inside their jaws, so.
Eels are weird. I'm gonna be honest, when I learned that it's like they have only that much body and the rest is tail, I could never look at them. I was like, that's not right.
Yeah, it's funny. Snakes are the opposite, where it's all body and then there's like a little tail at the end.
It's so weird because you look at eels and snakes, and like if you were to just look at them, you're like, yeah, they're related. They're the same thing. No, they're not. Animals are weird.
I actually have this is a thing that I'm trying to make a thing. Everyone's heard of carcinization, where crabs become crabs. It's all within one group that are becoming crabs. It's not that interesting. That's my hot take. Vermification, becoming a worm. That's where it's at.
Worms.
Lots of things become a worm.
The crab thing is kind of a urban myth or whatever, the paleontological myth. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a myth, but it's all within one group of
it's one thing.
Yeah.
Did that.
But things like eels become worms, snakes become worms, caecilians become worms. All these different things are losing their limbs and becoming a tube.
Join the uprising, become a tube.
Exactly. Become a tube.
Alligators are going to slowly become worms. You'll
Things
see.
like ermines, pine martens, whatever. Weasels.
Crocs and alligators are going to evolve because they won't stop biting each other's arms off. And then they're going to become just a tube that rolls. Which, I mean, I guess at that point, it's just like a really weird snake. But, hey, I'm not going to put that past evolution. It's done some weird things. And speaking of that, Pseudotsuchians, that crocodile archosaurs, were incredibly diverse in the Triassic. Why do you think they, and not the dinosaurs, initially dominated the terrestrial niche?
Again, it's a tricky one. That it may just be a case of timing, that they appeared a little bit earlier or got their footing a little bit earlier and were able to diversify a bit more quickly than dinosaurs. It may just be something like that. But again, I think it's something that we're not really sure about at the moment. Yeah.
So that's kind of the answer for.
It's an answer for a lot of things, I'm afraid. It's there's a lot of uncertainty. We need to do more research. We need to get on it.
I don't know, man. Let's dig that up. If you could place one enigmatic Triassic fossil into a definitive spot on the family tree, like the controversial, oh my God, I love Latin so much. Oh, whoa, what is this thing? Hang on, pulling up images. Like this fella, whatever this.
Oh yeah, Scleromochlus.
Which would it be? And you know what? Why? Toss that in there.
I would like to know where phytosaurs sit. Are they outside of archosaurs? Are they within archosaurs, but sort of a sister group to everything else? Are they within Pseudotsuchia? Where do they go? But yeah, Scleromochlus is a little bit of a controversial one too. I'm pretty on board with it being a basal pterosaur with the rest of Largoptids. But I would like to know where phytosaurs sit. I think that would be interesting to find out.
That would be a very, I mean, and then from there you can just build on that. So
yeah,
you kind of figure out one thing and then you can kind of lump things to it until someone, argues it. You find the easy route. You get everything with that, and then you have somebody else do it more difficultly, and you're just like, I laid the groundwork for you.
Yeah.
As someone who bridges the gap between like technical paleontology and social media, what is the hardest part of explaining Triassic phylogeny to general audiences?
I think that it is so unfamiliar to a lot of people, because people, they may not know phylogeny of dinosaurs, but they know there's different types of dinosaur, and you can kind of say, well, this one's related to this one and this one's related to that one. But the Triassic is a lot more unfamiliar. So it's a lot more difficult to explain. I mean, even when I'm talking about like pseudotsuchians, every single time I have to clarify these are the crocodile line archosaurs, and then you have to clarify what that means by explaining. It's got a branch on a tree of reptiles. You have this one branch called archosaurs, and this splits into pseudotsuchia. Blah 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 blah. It's that you need to have quite a good sort of base of knowledge already to understand a lot of these more unfamiliar terms. I'd say that's the tricky thing, is figuring out where that base of knowledge is and then building on it in a way that people can understand.
The Triassic period is the trenches. That's you got like the training grounds with the Cretaceous and the Jurassic, and you just got like, all right, you remember everything from that? Good, forget it. Something now. Oh God. So I guess do you know the like great ichthyosaur jaw fragment from, I guess that's ichthyotype
from Somerset?
Yes. What's your take on the great ichthyosaur jaw fragments found in the Triassic? Do you think they think we are looking at a marine archosaur equivalent we haven't fully understood yet? That was a very harsh speaking from me. I am so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we only have a fragment of it, so there's going to be stuff that we don't understand about it yet. Like, absolutely. I don't know whether from that fragment we can tell exactly how big it was. And I believe people have posited that it could be bigger than a blue whale. I don't think from the scrap that we have, we can be certain about that for sure. But there's definitely going to be things that we don't understand about it. It's a huge animal, regardless of whether it's that big. But I'd love to see more of it found in the future. It's a very interesting thing to watch. I mean, people are always fossil hunting on that beach, so chances are something will turn up, hopefully.
I feel like we're about to have like a Nanotyrannus situation there, where we're about to be like, oh, wait, we've actually had chunks of this all along. We just haven't identified them right because it's been XYZ problem.
Could be.
And the whole larger than a blue whale thing, what is your take on that? How do you where do you stand with that?
Like I said, I don't think we currently have enough material to go off of to say for sure how big it is. So it could be right, but I don't think we can say that for sure right now.
I forgot who I was talking to, but he was just like, yeah, we've been trying to say anything is bigger than the blue whale since we discovered the blue whale. So
yeah.
Is it a case of that?
Everyone wants to find the biggest thing, the fastest thing, the pointiest thing. It makes headlines, it gets you funding. So there's a will for it to be discovered, but we need to have the hard evidence before we can really say it with certainty.
It's kind of hard to be like, yeah, no, this thing is bigger than a blue whale without having all of it to be like, yeah, we measure it. Like, it is kind of hard. And I mean, whenever that whole ichthyotitan thing, every other headline was like, this new animal bigger than the blue whale, larger than it's like, yeah, that's honestly, that's what I'd be saying too. It gets you so much funding, and people would send you out there to go find new pieces of it. If you could visit one specific Triassic formation, where would you go to find your dream fossil?
I would go to, oh gosh, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, the Femrau formation, the one in Antarctica. I would go there because I really want to go to Antarctica. If anyone is planning Antarctic field work, I'm always on board. Just putting that out there into the world.
If there's anybody watching this that's doing that,
yeah, call me.
Your message, somebody to do it. You got somebody literally volunteering right here.
Yeah, that would be, I think, my dream place to go, because it's just incredible. Like, it's so unexplored that everything you're putting up is something new. It's just like one of the final frontiers in paleontology, I think, and just exploration in general.
So what is kind of in that formation?
Oh gosh, what is in there at the moment? I know there's lots of little reptile creatures. I believe this is where the potential giant egg came from, that may or may not actually be an egg. It certainly came from Antarctica. I'm not sure if it's this formation exactly, but I would like to find the first archosaur in Antarctica, because they're probably there, but we don't have any yet.
Well, Antarctica would have been connected to kind of the mainland during the Triassic.
Yeah, and we find them everywhere apart from Oceania and Antarctica. So there's a chance that they are there. It just hasn't been explored and found.
Yeah, we don't find them. That's it could have literally just been, because I know Australia also with the Oceania, it kind of has that problem of just fossilization in general. So it's like, it's the whole absence of evidence isn't absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Yeah.
There, trying to say that. It's within some regards, I feel like it's we don't find T-Rex in England, so there might have been. It's all right, well, no, but not finding an entire group from an entire period that isn't heavily fossilized in a specific area is pretty hard to be yeah, no, they're not there at all.
Yeah.
It's very definitive about that. Can you back that up?
Yeah, everything was connected in Pangaea, so there is definitely a chance that they could be there.
How has your digital persona helped you connect with professional research? And do you see social media changing the way we do citizen science?
I've made some great friends through social media for sure. I also am part of a podcast like you, and it's a really great way to reach out to scientists and talk about their work. I think it's fantastic if they're posting new work and you see something that's relevant to you or you have a take on, and you can message them directly about that. I know that some research has been formed that way, where someone posts something, hey, I've got this weird thing, does anyone know what this is? And then people have commented, I think I might have an idea about that. And whole papers have been born out of that, like for real. So I think just connecting everyone is a great thing that social media does, and that you can just find these situations where maybe your expertise can help someone else, or you can access someone who you believe would be great to have on your team.
And I mean, even within, like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, technology is a blessing and a curse. It's so difficult to work with sometimes, and it's just really aggravating. Sometimes you're just like, all right, I'm like done with this for right now. I just like need to step away. But like being able to literally just, you're in like England right now, or I'm on literally the other side of the world. I'm in America right now. This, like, if we didn't have technology, this kind of thing, like these podcasts and like being able to just like kind of like call somebody and be like, hey, what you doing right now? Let's do this thing. It would just make it so much more difficult.
Yeah, when I was working at the London Natural History Museum briefly, we were able to just call up colleagues in Uruguay who were having a lovely day out on the veranda in the glorious sunshine while we were inside in in our little offices, cramped and alone in the dark and rain of England. But yeah, it's fantastic. It can connect you right away. And they were able to give us real-time feedback on the model that I was creating, despite being a world away.
It's honestly amazing that it's just how much it has changed the field of science in general. To be for even outside of communication, just technology in general has opened up so many new branches of just everything, literally everything. I mean, name a science that doesn't use technology. I guess like the science of dismantling technology, but even in technology, so it's anti-tech. But, and I mean, even with like the resurgence of, well, I say resurgence, just the coming of like AI, I'm genuinely curious how that will change everything in the future. And I mean, it currently, I mean, AI is a huge discussion right now, whether it's pro or anti.
And it depends what you're doing with the AI and what kind of AI it is as well.
It's so much more difficult. Like data collection is so difficult with it, because on one hand, it's like, okay, did you just like
Hello.
All right, so technical issue, verbal issues too, technical difficulties. Wow, my brain just gave out right then. I guess we were talking about technology and how it's a
what a time
curse, and it's like right on cue too.
Yep.
So I don't even remember where we were. We're just going to move on to that. Given the pseudo-Suchians were arguably more successful than dinosaurs for much of the Triassic, what do you think was their secret weapon for dominance? Just move right on from it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it might have just been a case of timing. I'm not sure they had some sort of secret weapon, as it were, especially given that dinosaurs then later on in the period became more dominant. Sorry.
And once dinosaurs became a thing, it kind of just hit the ground running.
Yeah. So I'm not sure they have such a secret weapon. I'm not sure many groups do. Yeah, it's again, it's one of those unsatisfying answers that I don't think we really know, unfortunately.
So if dinosaurs, let's say that early dinosaur, I'm gonna go Coelophysis because that's just the one on my brain that's like that very early dinosaur.
Yeah.
If they went extinct and failed due to just pseudotsuchians be able to hunt them better. Who knows what, just whatever. Where do you think where do you think the next Jurassic and Cretaceous and even modern day, what do you think those would look like?
If pseudotsuchians hadn't been predominantly wiped out, you mean?
If dinosaurs kind of didn't become a thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah, I guess if
a lot less things in the sky, probably. Birds and that. Yeah, we might not have birds at all, which would be really, really odd. And we may have a lot more reptiles. I mean, it's very hard to say. I'm not very good at speculative evolution. I know a lot of people in paleo are very, very into it. And I'm not so much, because I'm very much like, well, we don't know because it didn't happen. Yeah, but it would be a very different world if dinosaurs hadn't really gotten that foot in. That's all I can say. More crocodile-y things. We don't know what would happen with mammals. Would we even be here to experience this world without dinosaurs? Who knows?
Everything would happen the exact same, just with sprawled legs.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got some upright pseudotsuchians. They just did it in a different way to dinosaurs, so they don't have the perforated acetabulum of dinosaurs, for example.
When looking at earlier dinosauriforms like Largopinton or Marsuchus, where do you personally draw the line between dinosaur-like reptile and true dinosaur?
Oh my God. Isn't that the question? Yeah, it's a larger question than just this group, really, I would say. It's a case of, where do you draw that line? It's so hard to say, because morphological characters they can only take you so far, really. Is because this line is now drawn by ancestry. So rather than saying these are the features of dinosaurs that make them dinosaurs, modern cladistics uses ancestry. So it's the most recent common ancestor of Triceratops and a pigeon. That defines dinosaurs. So really, you can define dinosaur, as just that, and exclude all these other things that aren't outside it, just by definition, rather than by any feature or anything.
Even at the other end of that, with like theropods into birds, some of those late theropods, if I discovered it, I would have probably been like, bird.
Exactly. Yeah. It's when does one become the other? It's very difficult to say. I mean, obviously, like I just said, looking for a perforated acetabulum, so that hole in the hip is one thing that you could say, yeah, that's a dinosaur. But there's more of a mosaic of characters that make up this sort of old way that we defined groups. But yeah, it's essentially they're not dinosaurs because they're not dinosaurs. Which is a strange answer, but that's the way we define things now, essentially.
Because it's so weird, because there really is no answer. Because it's like, okay, cool, we have these two species that we're saying this is this. You got, like, all right, clearly there's a difference between like a T-Rex and like a raven. You can look at those and you're like, yeah, very, very clearly. But then between that, you have Velociraptor. Okay, there's slightly less. Then between that, you have like Archaeopteryx, Hesperornis. I am probably horribly
Hesperornis, yeah.
Hesperornis. It's nap time for me, I guess.
It's bedtime for me.
It's been a long day. But it's like, where do you draw the line before you're like, yeah, no more? Because it's like, even within birds, like you have like Struthiomimus or Gallimimus, and you have like an ostrich. if we were to find an ostrich skeleton from like Cretaceous sediment, I mean,
Yeah, would we say it's the same thing as a raven?
would we say it's a bird instead of like a struthomimous or an ornithomimid or something like that? I mean, that's a very just weird that some of that like grouping is just very interesting to me. And
Yeah.
even within that, like how we speculate them. Like I love the like images. I forget who did them. Jesus, can't speak. But it's like modern animals, how we interpret dinosaurs, and they just look so different. I love that art because it's also like, okay, that's a very like you unironically you pointed out a huge flaw in like a lot of like paleontological understanding of these animals. And within respects to some animals, we have soft tissue enough to be like, yeah, it would have probably been this, not this. But within the Triassic, since we have very little soft tissue evidence for Triassic archosaurs compared to later periods, how much like speculative biology, like pouches or rattles or unique ridge shapes, do you feel comfortable adding to reconstructions?
I think if I'm reconstructing something myself, which I don't do often, because I'm not very good at it, but I think I tend to play it more safe than other people do. When I'm advising for reconstructions, for example, I'll say that this is potentially something that it could happen, but we don't have the evidence for it. So I tend to say maybe leave it out. Because it's something we could potentially find in the future, but we don't have that evidence for it now. And we can only reconstruct based on our best evidence now. I mean, there are some people who do much more speculative reconstructions, and that's great as well. I definitely think there's a place for that. But like when I'm consulting on books and things, I tend to play it safer there.
Yeah, it's very interesting when you see some kind of reconstruction that's got like this extra like skin or whatever weird thing they're adding to it, and you're like, I don't really know about that. Like I genuinely don't know how to feel about that, because like on one hand you can be like, well, that doesn't really make sense, but on the other hand it's like, well, there's no evidence against it.
Yeah, there's that too. I mean, birds have all sorts of weird things going on, like crests and wattles and all this, that, and the other, that we would never know about. So there's definitely place for it in paleontological reconstructions, because, as you say, there's no evidence against it either. I mean, there's some things we can say that it won't have, like there's things that need specific like muscle attachment sites that we don't have, that sort of thing. But a lot of things, yeah, we just don't have evidence for or against it.
So like one of the basic ones I think of right off the bat is like sauropods, where because I just remember seeing this art very recently where it's like,
yeah,
I mean, there's nothing to prove that they didn't have something like that. So I mean, I don't know, maybe you got a lot of the like very thin generic ones. Then you get like one with like weird skin flaps. It's
yeah.
I feel like there's also some sense of just like, hey, that looks weird. Maybe don't do that.
I think that one's from all yesterdays anyway, so I think it might be a speculative thing.
Yeah. The Apatosaurus worthy of all yesterdays.
Oh no, it isn't a Apatosaurus. No, you're right. Yep.
So it's just, and I mean, even from that's really weird. So I mean, it really is just kind of a matter of like artist interpretation. It's because it's like I was talking to like family about this earlier, and it's like, well, you never really think about it, but like you need literally every aspect of like anything in paleo. I mean, every single like depiction of a dinosaur you have seen is that it's a depiction. It's not, for lack of better words, it could be 100% wrong. Wake up tomorrow, T-Rex, we're like, oh yeah, no, it's actually got a giant fleshy sail on the back of its head. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Apart from maybe Psittacosaurus, because that one's like, we've got a pretty good idea of what that guy looks like.
and the what is it? It's related to, I bet if I look up ginger dinosaur.
Oh, Sinosauropteryx.
Yes, Sinosauropteryx. It just, that one where we're like, yeah, no, we know the like color of it. It's like we looked at the bones and then we just discovered the color of it, which like if you were to like explain this to someone, like, oh yeah, no, we looked at like a fossil record and now we know that it has like reddish orangish fur. It's like, you're making that up. You just lied straight to my face. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, you can even see the different bands of color on the fossil itself. It's really incredible.
You get that, like, it's like, all right, we know it has this, like, these stripes. We know it's this color. So you just need that, like, one fossil that just gives you all of that data.
Yeah.
But I think you said earlier it's bedtime for you, and my brain is on 15% here. So
I am flagging a little, I have to say.
We're both feeling it. But the last question I have for you is, do you have any advice or just any final words you want to say to everybody watching this?
Paleontology is great. I think the advice that I always give people is to ask for help, basically, because paleontology, I find it to be a very, very friendly place generally, and people are always willing to help out. So if you want to do something but you're not sure how, or you believe that someone has the expertise that you need, reach out, ask for help. That is my advice for people, because it can be a scary thing to do so, but you don't really need to be in paleontology. I've always had very good experiences with people and asking for help.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your, I guess, night, but for coming on and speaking to me and everybody that's going to watch this. I mean, thank you again. If you ever want to come back on, or you have something that you want to just get out there and you need a place, although I think you said you have your own podcast. So
yeah, I'm working with Paleocast.
But if you ever just want to come back on or whatever, just feel free to message me. So
thank you.
And again, for everybody, go to Instagram, a lot of amazing content there. So, but again, thank you so much for coming on. And for everybody else, I'm your host, Eric Crawford. This has been Prehistoric Life Podcast. Have a great afternoon, morning, evening, or night. And remember, keep it prehistoric. Bye.